All right, so today we're going to talk about Fritz Lang's movie M that was apparently made into a comic book. If you have not watched M, please, for the love of God, go watch it. It's such a good movie. What it is it's a black and white silent film that has a dude going around and he is taking children off the street, and it takes place in a time before like forensics, science, and everything, back in the day, black and white period. And these children are going off the street and they're being abducted and killed. And, like the whole city starts to become paranoid about everybody because they don't know who the killer is. We do, because one of the things Fritz Lang gives us in the movie is the killer always whistles when he's near, and you always see a shadow and stuff. And it's just one hell of a like silent horror movie from back in the day, kind of a mystery almost. But this comic book kind of tries to adapt it into, readable material. It's still silent, so it's kind of funny in its own way. But this is, from what I read, it's oil painting, apparently, with stencils and lots of little touches. You can kind of see like the little scribbles here from like a stencil maybe. It's kind of cool. And there's some photorealism, it looks like, in here to kind of capture the black and white period of the film, which this is why it really piqued my interest, because not only does it kind of cover the story of the movie in comic book form, but it's interesting to look at in that it kind of almost covers the movie. Now this is showing the time. She's setting the table. She's calling to her daughter. And I think her name's Elsa. She's playing with a ball, and she is going to be abducted by the killer. See, here's the shadow. And it's just, that's so rad. I just like the idea of a shadowed killer from back in the day, against a brick wall like that. Child's all unaware of what's going on. It's just a really good setup for a comic book. And see, she's looking at the time. She's like, where's she at? Elsie Beckman. She says her name. Very cool stuff. So, see, this is the other interesting thing about this comic book that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know this existed until I was flipping through it. Flexi disc. Apparently, you can play these on record players. Look, it's really just a sheet of paper. I mean, you could tell it's a disc. But we're going to play this at the end of the video here. I do have a record player. But this is just so rad. I actually kind of wish comic books could come with these more. And it's something you can listen to while you read the comic. Elsie's death is on one side, and on the other side, it's in the Hall of the Mountain King. So we'll play a little bit of both. But ultimately, Elsie's not going to make it home. And see, look at this. I mean, that has to be taken from either the movie or like a photo somewhere or something. Just like to get that specific an effect. I mean, otherwise, the guy who did this had to be a really good painter or oil painter. Jonesy Muth? And Fritz Lang helped make it? I'm actually not sure, but anyway. They get so paranoid with the killer being out there and everything, Says, let's see. Certain evidence leads us to believe that the murderer is the same as the one who has already killed 8 children in our town. We must once more draw your attention to the fact. And he writes notes. He's basically saying, he's not done yet. This isn't the end. But the townspeople gets more paranoid. What's most interesting about the movie is how they start like sectioning off parts of the town, which is kind of what it explains here too. And on the radio, certain things like curfew. But they section off towns because they only have so many policemen to cover the area where the abductions are happening. That they're like, okay, well, we're going to search from this section to this section, see if there's anyone we don't know, anyone who might look suspicious, and then we'll go to the next section. It's the only thing they can think to do. And here we have a dude who's just chilling, and the kid's like, can you tell me what time it is, please? And he's like, yes, my child. It's 5:23. Now, my child, you must go home. Where do you live? This is all because of the curfew. And then this dude's like, what the hell do you want to know where she lives for? You're the murderer. And it's an outrage. And they start trying to prosecute this guy, almost the townspeople, which is the end game to this whole story, is that people taking the law into their own hands because the authorities can't seem to figure out who the killer is. So yeah, they arrest the dude. It's not the killer. And here it is, where they're kind of sectioning off the town. They're trying to coordinate, like, this is the radius he kills in. We'll close in on it. And the drama in the movie actually plays out here a little bit. And in the movie, it's just so good. It's such a beautiful, perfect movie of its time. People being questioned. They try to go through the neighborhoods too and question people. Look at that. That has to be a photo. Can't remember if it's from the movie. It's been, I don't know, a couple years since I've seen it. But just beautiful artwork here. Photorealism, oil paintings with some scratch, some stencil. Just beautifully built. And as you know, oil paintings, so oil always kind of remains wet. So these are probably preserved somewhere if he didn't already sell the art. And if he did, they're probably still being preserved. I really like the idea of putting in color too, just randomly. Just beautiful stuff. This is actually only book 1 of it, and if anyone's interested, these actually are pretty cheap. So I would suggest looking online, making sure that the flexi disc is preserved in these. If you actually want to play it on a record player, it's just a cutout right here. And apparently the grooves aren't deep enough in these that you kind of want to play them with like a shitty needle or something. That's what I've heard, because they can possibly ruin your better needle. I'm going to be using my smaller record player to play this one as opposed to my big Sony. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what this sounds like. And also, if you haven't seen M, again, please just go check it out. It should be cheap. I know it's on Criterion Collection. But yeah, thanks for everyone watching, and have a good day and be safe. And if you hear any weird whistling, be wary.